This is the Mets Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The New York Mets have lost 7 of their last 8 games. The last 14 Mets hitters were retired tonight, and this is a game about missed chances for New York as they fall to the Cleveland Guardians by a final score of 3-2. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here, live on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and in the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I am your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. And the hole just keeps being dug deeper and deeper for this New York Mets team. They are inventing new ways to lose. And tonight, they had chances, especially early in the game. They missed on those chances. Their bullpen was set up to do what the bullpen was designed to do. But unfortunately, the Mets only muster 4 hits after a Juan Soto walk in the 5th. The Mets do not get a runner on base. The last 14 Mets get retired, and this team is searching for answers. We start tonight's postcast talking about those missed opportunities.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I almost said something on social media when it happened in the moment, but I did not want to jinx the team because at that point, they had a 2-0 lead. I thought that, Clay Holmes was pitching well up until that point. The Mets were scratching and clawing runs. I won't put the jinx out there. I won't send out the message on social media that, boy, only getting 2 runs in the first 2 innings surely isn't going to come back to haunt the New York Mets. But it did, because the Mets missed chances despite scoring runs in the first and second inning and jumping out to an early 2-0 lead. The Mets left a lot on the base paths early in this game. In the first inning, they get first and third with only 1 out. They can scratch just 1 run across with the Pete Alonso sacrifice fly. And then in the second inning, this is where the game should have been blown open. Vientos doubles to lead off the inning. McNeil bunts him over. Weird decision for McNeil to bunt there, but okay, moving the runner over. We're playing some small ball. We're trying to scratch and claw, get an early lead. I can maybe justify it in my head. I don't like giving away free outs. I don't like bunting, but okay, I can see what you're trying to do here. Alvarez walks. It's now first and third. Tyrone Taylor, somewhat of a surprise in the lineup. I know Cedric Mullins is a left-handed batter, but one of the big reasons why they traded for him is because he had better numbers against left-handed pitching this season. Not in the lineup. They go with Tyrone Taylor. He breaks an over 18 streak. He drives in a run. Then a ground ball by Marte, which should end the inning. Instead, everybody's safe. Bases loaded, 1 out, 2-0 lead. This game was right there to be broken wide open. A double in the gap clears the bases. The Mets are up 5-0. Clay Holmes is in command. You have this super bullpen that you used a lot of those guys last night, but certainly many of them available to you tonight. And instead, you hit into a double play. It's a great play by Cleveland defensively, but you put something on the ground where they can make a play. They're a solid defensive team. And instead of this game being broken wide open, it's 2-0. And that came back to haunt the New York Mets. That's it. That's the game. We can talk about Clay Holmes, and we will. We can talk about Brandon Nimmo, and we will. I pulled the numbers before this game even ended on what Brandon's last 15 games have looked like. All of those are worthwhile talking points. The bullpen, utilized tonight in a very interesting way. We'll talk about all of those things. This game was lost in the first 2 innings. 30, 35, 40 minutes into tonight's game, this game was lost because they missed a chance in the first inning and they missed a golden opportunity in the second inning. And it's not like it was Tyrone Taylor up in a spot and he didn't come through. No, he came through earlier in the inning. It wasn't like it was Ronnie Mauricio, who's been hot and cold and streaky. It's Francisco Lindor, who's supposed to be able to come through in those moments. Supposed to be able to put one in the gap and give this team a 5-0, 4-0 lead when Clay Holmes, through the first 2 innings, looked like he was in command and overall was in command. Overall had one of the best starts we've seen from him as of late. Checked off a lot of boxes for what we needed to see from the starting pitching. But instead, the Mets messed up those opportunities, missed those chances. And then after that, They didn't do a whole lot. They didn't get another chance like they had in the second inning. In fact, they had some lifeless at-bats as this game progressed to the point where the last 14 Mets have retired. And we're talking about a team that has lost 7 of their last 8. When's the last time? Somewhat of a rhetorical question because I did the research before I'm asking the question. When's the last time the Mets start to finish played a game where every single facet worked for them? The offense, the starting pitching, the bullpen. Think about it. Take a second. Think about the last time that the Mets played a game that in your mind checked all the boxes. They did all of the things that they were supposed to do in all 3 facets of the game. Now, it was a little more recent than you would first think, but it was still a long time ago. It was the opener of the series in San Francisco when they won 8-1. Scored 8 runs offensively. Clay Holmes gave you 5 solid innings. The bullpen did not allow a run in their 4 innings of work. That's the last time the Mets put together a complete game. Since then, it has been something every night, whether it's the defense, whether it's the starter, whether it's the offense being non-existent. It seems that right now this team is going through a stretch, and it's kind of a long stretch, where it's just something different every single night. And there are some games where it's everything all at the same time. And tonight, you can just feel it in the moment that when they miss the bases loaded in that second inning, you just hope that with everything that's been going wrong for this team as of late, that it doesn't come back to haunt them. But it does, because Cleveland, they scratch, they claw, they get a couple runs across to tie the game. They then get a run against Tyler Rogers there in the 6th inning, and it's 3-2, and the Mets don't have an answer for it. I thought Clay Holmes was very good tonight. I thought Clay Holmes did exactly what we have asked the starting pitching to do. I know that everybody is hung up on this idea that somebody other than David Peterson needs to go 6 innings. And I largely agree. The Mets can't afford to do this every single night. Somebody has to join David in that crusade of pitching deep into games. My guess is Sean Manaea is the closest to being able to do that, because Clay Holmes had all the hallmarks of being able to go into the 6th inning of tonight's game and try to get some outs there and try to complete 6 innings of work. But the Mets felt like he did exactly what they needed their starter to do tonight. 5 innings, 2 runs or fewer, gave the Mets a chance in the baseball game. That's what you ask for. That's if Clay Holmes is going to do that, then we don't have a Clay Holmes problem. We have a Kodai Senga problem. We have a Sean Manaea problem, because those are the 2 guys that I think we all look to be the pitchers that can join David Peterson in giving length. If this is the type of outing that you're going to get from Clay Holmes, night in and night out, every time he takes the ball, then I think we can be okay with that. And I looked it up. Since the Colorado start, sort of things started to get a little weird for Clay. They had to back him off a little bit. They moved the day that he started. They then took him out a little earlier in that game. 7 of the 10 starts since Cleveland. He's made 10 starts since Colorado, excuse me. 7 of the 10, he's allowed 2 runs or fewer. Not earned runs, 2 runs or fewer. So he's been overall consistent. Just want to continue to hit that marker of 5 innings, and he did so tonight. So I have no complaints about Clay Holmes. Threw a bunch of first pitch strikes, had that fastball, had that sinker working, pitched to contact, and did the job that he needed to do. No problems there. The problems are with the offense missing the chances and then just going cold. Just not doing anything, not even putting together a little bit of a rally as this game progressed. I mean, this was a quick game. Normally, just to pull behind the curtains a little bit, when I schedule the postcasts here on the YouTube channel, I usually earmark that the game's going to take around 3 hours. Game started 7:10. I mark 10:10 is the time that we're going to go live. We started 30 minutes early. This was quick. The Mets did not have any competitive at-bats, and that was such a counter-programming to what we saw in the beginning of the game. I was super impressed. Bunch of 3-ball counts, forcing Logan Allen to work in that first inning, and that led to those opportunities. They just didn't nail the huge blow. They didn't land that thing that breaks it open, that demoralizes the opposition, that forces Stephen Vogt and the Guardians to go to their bullpen a little bit earlier, and they're behind 4-5-0. Different ball game. It's managed differently from both sides at that point, and the Mets just didn't land that shot, and they had their chance. Francisco Lindor came up in the second inning, and that was a moment that they just missed. They just missed it. We got to talk about Brandon Nimmo. We got to talk about the bullpen usage in this game, what it means for tomorrow, what it means for the rest of the week. Also want to hear your thoughts as well. We have a turning point to give out. I'm sure you can guess what the turning point in this game was in many ways. We will get to all of it here on the other side. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. FanDuel, you can track your favorite matchups. The app's going to keep it fresh for you. New daily promotions, fun ways to bet, easy to use, fast to pay out, and it makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I am part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. I certainly need one of these. It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion, bringing the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink minus the alcohol into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Perhaps we should get some for the New York Mets to get their energy up as this game went on tonight. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best part of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use the promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your first order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be combined with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. Back here on the Mets Postcast, Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Chris Schubert here with you, recapping another frustrating, disappointing Mets loss. The Bats go quiet after having chances early in this one. This team has now lost 7 of their last 8 games, and we're all searching for answers. And I'll tell you, one place in particular that I want to discuss is Brandon Nimmo. And tonight, I'll give you the numbers from tonight, and then I'll tell you what he's done in the 15 games before this one. Was another 0 for Brandon. 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Again, continues to look late, continues to look lost up there tonight against the lefty. And this shows you that Mendoza knows that something is off with Brandon. Normally, or at least as of late, lefty, righty, Brandon had been there in the leadoff spot. They had kind of gotten to a place where they were comfortable going Nimmo, Lindor, Soto, Alonso. It was those four guys, no matter who was on the mound, because Nimmo was playing well. All 4 guys at the top of that lineup were the leaders. And before that, when the Mets were kind of fighting it offensively, they would do exactly what they did tonight with the lineup. Marte would be the leadoff man against lefties. Nimmo would be the leadoff guy against righties. So they moved Nimmo back down to the 5 spot against the lefty, and it is another bad night. The 15 games before this one, a 230 average for Brandon Nimmo, a 304 on base percentage, an 84 WRC plus, 16% below a league average hitter over the last 15 games, and just 1 home run from Brandon Nimmo. It's just not good enough. Juan Soto's certainly going through struggles on his own. Pete feels like he's the one member of the Fab Four that is breaking out here. Another hit tonight, driving in a run with the sacrifice fly. If we were doing a confidence meter on those 4 guys, Pete would be the person I'm the most confident in, and the least confidence has to be right now in Brandon Nimmo. The swings just look late. He looks lost. The at-bats are not competitive right now from Brandon Nimmo. So I don't know if a day off is in the cards. It should be. You have Cedric Mullins. You have Jeff McNeil who can play in the corner. So you've got options. You have multiple outfielders available to you. I know he's one of your Fab Four and you rely on him, but he may need a day here. And the beautiful thing about potentially giving him the off day tomorrow is then he gets 2 days off going into the weekend series. So it can act as a full kind of reset for him. And then I put him right back in the lineup on Friday. But yeah, it certainly well past time to maybe having a conversation about Brandon Nimmo just getting a day off. And I see it getting pointed out by Jay, ain't going to win with 4 hits. Exactly. The Mets are not going to. I mean, they scored their first run in the game in the first inning without a hit. You can't live that way. It's nice to score a run that way, but you got to follow it up with something. And the Mets were unable to do that here tonight. We'll get this out of the way. I think you can guess what the turning point of tonight's game is.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
You want to pick the first inning, first and third, one out, and they only score one run. You want to pick the second inning when they load the bases with one out and they don't score when Lindor hits the double play. I think you can pick either one because those were chances to break the game wide open. And the game script completely changes if this is 3-4, 5-0 instead of it being 2-0. It changes the way Carlos Mendoza manages it with his bullpen. It changes the way Stephen Vogt manages it on his end. And the Mets just missed on that chance. The other stuff to keep an eye on, again, this was a bad night. Brooks Raley going back-to-back outings is encouraging. Coming off of major injury, major surgery, I'm always intrigued to see how teams handle that when they go to their relief arm for the first time in a back-to-back situation. And so far, up until this point, the Mets haven't done that with Brooks Raley. They did it tonight. He pitched in back-to-back games. So that's certain. They're going to see how he responds to it. They're going to see how he feels tomorrow. But now that gives Carlos Mendoza a couple more options if you can go to him. Now, I know he only faced one batter the night prior, but again, it's getting prepared for 2 straight days. That was very encouraging. The bullpen's going to be a little thin tomorrow. Not going to have Brooks Raley. He went back-to-back days. I don't expect Tyler Rogers. I know that the compliment of Tyler is he's always ready to take the ball. I just don't know if Mendoza will use him 3 days in a row. So probably no Rogers. Helsley worked 2 nights in a row. So you're going to have Dom Hamill. You may have Soto. You'll have Stanek, Garrett, Diaz. Those are the names that the Mets will potentially have available tomorrow, should have available tomorrow, to try to salvage something here in the finale. The Mets just cannot play a complete game across the board. Tonight, they got the starting pitching that they needed. They didn't get the hits, and they didn't get the bullpen, or in the case of Tyler Rogers, that's that 1 inning went sideways on him. But they just didn't get what they needed out of the bullpen tonight. The Mets have been unable to put together that complete game. And I'll let Ricardo, he just put this message in the chat, have the final word, because I do think it's something worth mentioning. It says the team has no guts and they play the most boring and non-energetic baseball you will ever watch. Now, I won't co-sign this and go as far as to say that they have no guts, but boy, does it feel like the energy can get zapped from this team very quickly. The complete polar opposite to what they were a year ago, where, and I don't want to put it all on one player, but when they had Iglesias, didn't it feel like every night they could have the energy? Every night they were always in the game, and one hit could be the thing that snowballs and starts the rally, and the energy is right back if it was lost for just a brief second. It felt like energy was something that they always had, and not much of the team has changed from a year ago. So I'm somewhat surprised that they're unable to have that energy level, or to have the lack of energy. They just, it goes away so quickly. I mean, they're up 2-0 in this game. Did it ever feel, the Mets were up 2-0 in this baseball game? Anything in the way that we've talked about this contest tonight in the post game? Did it feel like the Mets had a 2-0 lead? Talking about all this negative. It's just, it is insane to me that the energy just isn't there, and they go the last 14 batters without getting somebody on base and without really having a competitive at bat. They just have to be better, plain and simple. They are struggling. They are going to allow Philly to open up a bigger lead, the biggest lead since June in the NL East. They are closing things in for maybe Cincinnati or other San Diego to catch them in the wild card race, or opening the door there. It's just they're just not doing enough. And Red Bear says, dude, it's insane. You just said they didn't get what they needed from the bullpen. They were pitching in a tight game and gave up one bad luck run. There's zero blame to put on the bullpen here. Fair. This loss is not on the bullpen. So if that was the insinuation that you took from what I said, then let me clear that up. This game is not on the bullpen. This game is on the offense not scoring runs early. But when you're pitching in a tight game and you built this super bullpen, you would just like to throw up a bunch of zeros and be able to walk it off and win this game 3-2, or to score a run in the 7th or 8th or 9th innings and just get out of there with a victory. But this is the peril to going to this bullpen every single night. This is the peril of not getting the length from the starters, as you are asking this bullpen to do a lot. And we expect talent-wise that they would be able to do it, but you just wear these guys out. And tonight, just some bad luck goes against them. And good job on Tyler Rogers to only allow it to be one run. It could have very easily been a multiple run inning that blew the game open for Cleveland. So just as if the Mets didn't blow it open, Cleveland didn't blow it open either in that frame, and the Mets were unable to claw back in it. The Mets tried to salvage something in the series finale tomorrow, and it is David Peterson on the mound to try to right the ship for this squad. He is their ace. He's been their best pitcher. He's the only guy that goes 6 innings. Can the Mets offense support him? And can David pick up some of the slack so that this bullpen, who doesn't have some of their guys tomorrow, can be able to pick up a victory? Again, it is 7 of their last 8. And as somebody pointed out in the chat, the schedule does not get any easier for this squad. No post show from me tomorrow. The next time that you will hear from me, we will be back together here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and the Locked On Mets podcast feed Friday, a weekend series in Milwaukee. The Mets return to where things went down in the NL wild card last year. Hopefully, it is a weekend to remember, just like that weekend was for New York. The Mets have lost 7 of their last 8. They went down in a heap tonight. Did not have any competitive at-bats after the 5th inning, and they lose a close one, 3-2, to the Cleveland Guardians. That is going to do it for us here on the Mets Postcast. If you are new, please subscribe, turn on that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live here on the Mets Postcast the moment that the Mets game completes. If you're listening to us in the podcast feed, you can join us over on the YouTube side of things. Share your thoughts, instant reactions, instant takes here the moment that the Mets games are done. We are back Friday night. Try to enjoy tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully the Mets can pick up a victory. Then there's a day off on Thursday. We're back again on Friday. Have a good one, Mets fans.